Hello, welcome to Locked on Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of Erik Karlsson and the San Jose Sharks. Mostly Erik Karlsson. The Sharks win 5-2, snapping the Minnesota Wild's 6-game win streak. But Erik Karlsson and his 4 points is the story. God, he's really good at hockey. So we're going to talk about the game, talk about the Mason Shaw penalty, and then have some fun, give out some Christmas gifts to some of our favorite Sharks players. So all that and more on today's episode of Locked on Sharks.
You're Locked on Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, JD Young, contributor at Fear the Fin, San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked on Sharks your first listen. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch this on YouTube as well. The Sharks head into the Christmas break feeling pretty good about themselves, winning 5-2. But Erik Karlsson was the story of this game, as he's been the story of a lot of the Sharks games this season. Talked about on Tuesday, had a terrible Erik Karlsson, just terrible game, especially for Erik Karlsson. And then tonight he came out and showed why he is arguably the best offensive defenseman in the NHL right now, and continue his Norris caliber campaign. 4 points tonight, a goal in the first minute of the game, 3 primary assists. The Oscar Lindblom assist, just where Oscar Lindblom looks at him and says, "What a effing pass." You can see him mouthing it on the broadcast. Just Erik Karlsson in his bag tonight. And you knew, especially after last game with, he gave up the terrible turnover on the second goal, to start the first period. You knew Erik Karlsson was going to do something special tonight, and he delivered. So Karlsson, 46 points, 35 games, well on his way. We haven't even hit the halfway point of the season yet. We could be looking at a 100-point defenseman season from Erik Karlsson if he continues to stay healthy. Knock on wood. Erik Karlsson is tracking to be a 100-point defenseman, which is absolutely wild, especially with this Sharks team. If he has 100, you have to give him the Norris, right? Like I know the Sharks are bad and probably going to be, picking in probably about 4, 5, or 6 in the draft. But if Erik Karlsson has 100 points and makes this Sharks team somewhat interesting, which he's done all year, you have to have a real, he's going to be a finalist, and then you have to have a real conversation about Erik Karlsson getting his third Norris, getting the Norris trifecta. So, just when Erik Karlsson's feeling it, man, there's not many in the world who can do what he's doing right now. So, and I've spoken plenty about Erik Karlsson this season. He's amazing. I don't want to, continue to just talk about how great he is. But I think the other big thing was the Mason Shaw hit, right, on Evgeny Svechnikov, led to a 5-minute major. Shaw was, game misconduct, kicked out of the game. And this isn't the first time the Sharks have had an issue with Shaw. If you remember, the first time the Sharks played the Wild, he hit Radim Simek. No penalty for the high hit on the head right there. Knocked Simek out for, I think it was 6 games with a concussion. And Shaw, I would be surprised. I would be shocked if he is not, if the Department of Player Safety does not come down on him. I was in defense of the suspension of Tomas Hertl. Don't hit guys in the head or face, or don't attempt to hit guys in the head and their face with a stick. Don't attempt don't come flying across the ice and knee guys in the knee. Dirty hit. No place in the NHL or in any league for that. It was good to see Svechnikov come back because you never know with something like that. If it's, we saw Luke Cunningham a couple games ago, right? Takes nothing that serious or nothing that kind of intentional from on his hit, but takes a knee. His knee just bends funny, tears his ACL, and you never know with knees. Hopefully, Svechnikov's got a couple of days here of rest here, so hopefully there's no swelling or anything like that. But good sign that he came back into the game. So hopefully there's no long-term injury there or short-term injury for Svechnikov. But just a dirty hit from Mason Shaw, and it's the Department of Player Safety needs to, especially a young guy like Shaw who's had a couple of these against the Sharks, right? They need to kind of send the message to Shaw, this is not okay. You need to sit for a couple games, and just a terrible hit. So, but yeah, pretty kind of crazy game from the Wild and the Sharks, right? You had Carlson going off tonight, a 5-minute major. You had the Matt Dumba just absolutely laying out Matt Nieto. Clean hit, perfectly clean hit. Matt Nieto, Carlson kind of a little bit of a suicide pass there on Matt Nieto. He had his head down. Dumba, 100% clean hit right there. Not, hitting it. Nieto, good thing Nieto popped up right. And then, of course, Jacob Magna standing up for his teammate. I mean, there's the whole instigator rule thing that, you could apply there. That's a topic for a different discussion, but I thought it was a clean hit by Dumba. Good hit. You saw Nieto pop up, which is good. Especially after what happened against Rasmus Dahlin in the Sabres game, you kind of hold your breath just a little bit, hoping, we're not having a repeat of that, but good to see Matt Nieto pop back up. But again, pretty clean hit. But yeah, a lot of crazy, and then Sharks shut it down in the third period, which is something we haven't seen from the Sharks this year, of kind of being able to hold a lead, especially when you're dealing with a power play to start the third period. We've seen the Sharks, especially the last couple of games, kind of crumble in those situations. And, good for the Sharks to hold a lead and kind of had to be feeling really, really good about themselves heading into the break as they shut down the Wild 5-2. Kevin Labanc getting the empty netter. Noah Gregor getting on the board. Second goal of the year. No Gregor, go Burr. And then Timo Meier continuing his hashtag 90-point Timo season here. So we'll get into the lines here in a second, kind of talk about how they played, especially with the mismatched lines without Tomas Hertl. Thankfully, Hertl will be back for the next game as the Sharks kind of continue to figure out and feel out what this team is heading towards the trade deadline. I don't think this is the spark of a huge winning streak, but it's good to see the team play well, especially after they played the last couple of games against Calgary, where they just shot themselves in the foot all over the ice. So before though we get into kind of the lines, how they look tonight, kind of juggled lines here. Do want to take a quick break. Talk to you guys about something very, very important, especially this time of year. And that is a message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Association. Did you know that driving high is considered driving under the influence? That's right. Driving under the influence of marijuana is against the law in every state, even in states where marijuana is legal. That means driving high can get you a DUI. And if you think law enforcement officers can't tell when you're driving high, you're wrong. Your friends can tell, your coworkers can tell, even your parents can tell. Everyone can tell. So what makes you think that law enforcement officers don't know that you're driving high? Driving under the influence of marijuana can slow your response time and change how you perceive time and speed. So when you think you're fine to drive when you're high, you're not, because the bottom line is you feel different, you drive different, and driving high is driving under the influence. So remember, drive high, get a DUI, paid for by the NHTSA. All right, so let's get into how the Lions performed tonight. Had a little bit of a kind of different lines compared to last game. So we had kind of the souped up line of the Barabanov, Couture, Meier. call it souped up. Then you had Matt Nieto, Nick Bonino, Kevin Labanc, Svechnikov, Sturm, and Gregor. And then Lindblom, Lawrence Gadovich, which has kind of been the same. The defensive pairs, so Radim Šimik was a healthy scratch tonight. Jacob Megna took his place on the top defensive pairing with Carlson. For some reason, man, that Carlson-Megna pairing just works. I don't know if it's because we saw Scott Harrington there last game, and we know what happened last game. But I don't know. For some reason, Megna is just Carlson's safety blanket, and it's been working for some reason, and it just continues to work. So I would not expect Jacob Megna to be scratched anytime soon, just because of again how well those two work together. But some surprising numbers in this game, because when I talked to Seth, I was worried about kind of the depth, right, of how this middle six was going to do against the Wild middle six. And we'll get to it in a minute, but the second line was really good tonight. Really good tonight, like surprisingly good. All right, so Barabanov, Couture, Meier, 9 shot attempts, gave up 4. Actual shots on goal is only 2-1. Again, this is all 5-on-5. Sharks did have a ton of power play time, especially with the 5-minute major. Went 2 for 6 on the power play, which is good to see. But so the numbers are going to be a little bit skewed here just because so much time was on the power play, right? So yeah, 2 shots for, 1 allowed. Scoring chances was 3-1, 3 high danger chances, and 4, 3, and 5. So pretty balanced start zones for the Couture line. And then the Matt Nieto, Nick Bonino, Kevin Labanc line, 7-13 time on ice, 10 shot attempts for, 1 allowed. What? That's the juggernaut line. Apparently, that's what I meant when I said building the soup up line. The Matt Nieto, Nick Bonino, Kevin Labanc line tonight was just outstanding. Like I said, 10 shot attempts for Corsi for 90%. Love it. 6 actual shots on goal. Gave up 1. 6 scoring chances for. That's better than all the other lines combined. 1 high danger chance. And then 5, 1, and 2. So a little bit more shelter with that line, which is interesting with David Quinn, because we've known definitely tries to kind of lean on that line or on the Nick Bonino. So it'll be interesting when Hertl comes back how this kind of shakes up here. But they were good tonight. Got to give them tip your hat that they were very good tonight. Svechnikov, Sturm, and Gregor, not so great tonight. Only 2 shot attempts for. 8 shots allowed. 8 shot attempts allowed. 0-4 on actual shots on goal. And then 1, and 2, mostly on the fly starts for them. And then Lindblom, Lawrence Gadovich line. So 2 shot attempts for, 6 allowed, 3 actual shots on goal by the Wild, and then 3 neutral, 1 defensive zone start. So again, Matt Nieto, Nick Bonino, Kevin Labanc. Who knew? James Reimer tonight, continuing. You see that from James Reimer. I don't think he had a poor game last game, but definitely not a game that James Reimer kind of expected. I think he got put into a bad situation. Big bounce back night for him. 23 saves on 25 shots. Expected goals against was 2.16, 2 goals given up. Faced 6 high danger shots. So the Sharks did a really good job of limiting this Wild team that is pretty. You talk with Seth yesterday, they're a lot more balanced. They're not as kind of running gun as they were last season, but whenever Kirill Kaprizov steps on the ice, you have to worry about a guy of that nature. He's hashtag good. But 6 shot attempts, high danger, only had 5 saves, only gave up 1. Mid danger, 4 shots against 3 saves, so he gave up 1. But yeah, 15 low danger. So again, the Sharks did a great job of kind of keeping the shots on the outside and kind of helping James Reimer out there. In comparison, Philip Gustafsson, he was 24 of 20, 833 save percentage. Expected goals against 221. This is all situations, but gave up 4 goals, 6 high danger shots. He made 4. Sharks scored 2 there. 10 mid danger, 9 saves there, gave up 1, and then low danger 8, 7, and 1. So Sharks were able to kind of get those a little bit better percentage of those like high danger and mid danger shots, while the Wild were kind of forced to stay along the periphery of like their shooting attempts. So yeah, I mean, I think, kind of digging at the numbers a little bit more here, the big reason for kind of that Nick Bonino line, Kevin Labanc had himself a pretty great game tonight. When he was on the ice, the Sharks had 28 shot attempts. So Meier, Labanc, and Carlson, when they were on the ice, 28 shot attempts, but the Labanc 6 shot attempts allowed. So we don't really think of Kevin Labanc as a good defensive, and I'm not saying he's a good defensive forward, but not known for his defense, right? But if you're keeping the other team from getting shot attempts, that's pretty good defensive in my, the best defense is just not letting them do anything. So yeah, Erik Karlsson was on the ice for all 5 of the Sharks goals. Not a big plus minus guy, but that's pretty good. So Erik Karlsson also. So here's some of Erik Karlsson's. So Corsi for Carlson at 66.67%. That was 3rd best on the team behind Labanc and Barabanov. Like I said, Carlson was on the ice for all 5 of the Sharks' goals. Shots, Carlson was on the ice for 12 shots by the Sharks. 5 goals. Carlson had expected goals for at 1.8. He's really good, man. He produced 14 high scoring chances, 6 high danger chances when he was on the ice. Yeah, Erik Karlsson continues to be really good at hockey. So just get healthy, enjoy the time, enjoy the much needed rest. King Carl as the Sharks, going to be getting ready to start the second half here soon. So before we continue, give out some No, we're not doing 3 prizes this week. We're going to be doing some Christmas gifts for some of the players on the Sharks team. So before we do that, though, do want to let you guys know about, of course, the Locked On Sports Today podcast. Thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Now, go check out the Locked On Sports Today for your second listener. Peter Bukowski brings you the biggest stories from around the sports world in 20 minutes. Get the analysis and opinions before everyone else with our local and national experts and insiders. Locked On Sports Today podcast available on YouTube and wherever you get podcasts. Since it is Christmas weekend, going to give out some holiday gifts to some of the Sharks players. Again, no 3 fries, but want to kind of dive into the Christmas spirit. So try to think of some good gifts for some of the players here. Things that I think they would really need or appreciate, right? So also a bit of a programming note. Most likely not going to have an episode for you guys Monday. Probably going to be hanging out with the family. So we'll have one for you guys Tuesday. Get you guys ready for the Canucks game on Tuesday, but probably going to take Monday off. Got family in town. It's just, enjoy the day, enjoy the weekend with my family. So, yes, but let's give out just a couple Christmas gifts. So Timo Meier for Christmas, I'm going to give Timo Meier an 8-year, $10 million annual AAV contract. Timo Meier is really good at hockey, and I know the Sharks could. I'm going to do an episode about the potential Timo Meier trade, but Timo Meier is really, really, really good at hockey, and I don't know if the return that you get from a Timo Meier trade is ever going to amount to what Timo Meier is. If Timo Meier played on a different team, he would be a legitimate superstar in the NHL. But since he plays on a bad Sharks on the West Coast, a lot of people don't get to see him all the time. But Timo Meier is really good at hockey, and 8 years, $10 million feels really fair for what Timo does and his skill set. And you give him an 8-year deal, you're probably getting you're getting 4 prime years, 5 to 6 really good years, and then you're going to probably hang on the last couple of years with Timo Meier. But I just think with his style of game, I don't see his production cratering with the way he plays. So Merry Christmas, Timo Meier. Enjoy your fat new contract from the Sharks. Yes. James Reimer, everyone's favorite goalie. I'm giving him the gift of playing meaningful playoff hockey this spring. James Reimer is too beautiful for the Sharks and deserves to be playing kind of the last hurrah. I mean, he has a couple years left, but a nice last hurrah of James Reimer playing big time hockey in the playoffs and making big time saves. And how, having James Reimer here the past couple, season and a half now he's been so much fun to watch. And you feel bad because he just kind of gets the S kicked out of him night after night. Never was the greatest goalie, but he tries so hard, and you could tell how much passion and how much he loves the game, the cliche. But it would be great to see James Reimer suiting up and playing meaningful, big time playoff hockey. And I think as Sharks fans, we could get behind that basically no matter what most teams, if he were to be traded to. But I think Sharks fans would absolutely root for Reimer to do well in the playoffs. And, maybe not as hard as we did for like Patrick Marleau or Joe Thornton or something like that. But I know Sharks, we would definitely bandwagon whatever team James Reimer, almost any team James Reimer gets traded to. So going to continue handing out the gifts. Tomas Hertl, continued health. Played all 82 games last season. Hasn't missed a game this year until his suspension. Always, of course, you always worried slightly. You always back your mind with the knees, one bad hit. But Hertl, first year of his new contract, suspension, whatever. But continued health for Tomas Hertl to kind of lead this next core. And, can you imagine Tomas Hertl kind of being the Joe Thornton of the next core, kind of being the old guy, and you got a young Eklund and Bordelot and a Bedard or Fantilli or something like, just kind of being this beloved guy and playing a bunch of games, just continue to be awesome. So continued health for Tomas Hertl. Erik Karlsson, a bigger contract, $11.5 million, not enough. Give him more money. I don't care. No, I'm kidding. Just a bigger contract and a third Norris. How amazing would it be for Erik Karlsson to get that third Norris? Just standing there, holding that trophy at the end of the season. The Sharks are one of the worst teams, but Erik Karlsson just has that renaissance season that we were been hoping for since the Sharks traded for him. And we saw glimpses of it, but putting it together for a full season and him just being, proving all the doubters, yes, I'm still really, really good at hockey. So, yeah. Kaapo Kahkonen for Christmas, renewed confidence. And talk with Seth about the kind of the trade yesterday and how the Sharks are, have lost this trade at this point. Be nice for Kaapo Kahkonen to kind of start to rebuild some of that confidence, and the season's going to be lost here pretty soon if it isn't already. So be nice for Kaapo Kahkonen to kind of, especially when James Reimer is going to be traded at some point, build some confidence and kind of prove that, I can be a starting goalie in the NHL and kind of take the reins here that a lot of us expected, especially how he ended the season last year and going to this summer, expected him to do so. So I think a nice shot of confidence for him to, find his game, kind of iron out some of the details, all that fun stuff. So Noah Gregor, I'm giving you a 12-foot by 8-foot net. I know he scored tonight. Good for Noah Gregor scoring, second goal of the year, but a nice 12-foot by 8-foot net. You can't miss. Noah Gregor would be absolutely outstanding. So that's a little bit mean. I'm sorry. So that's going to be it for my gifts this year. So I hope you guys all enjoyed that. Thank you guys, of course, for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. So enjoy the holidays this weekend. Whatever you do or don't do or participate or don't participate in, but enjoy some time with some friends and family, and kind of take a minute, take some time to yourself this weekend. But again, thank you guys for supporting me and what I do in this dumb podcast. And I know it's been a different season, going solo, but I do appreciate you guys who stuck around, who have found me, and kind of as I find my way through this. So appreciate all of you guys. And again, have a good holiday. No episode on Monday. I'm going to be hanging out with the family. Got family in town. So, but be back on Tuesday. Get you guys ready for the Canucks. And then, of course, we'll have a Canucks game recap. I'll probably be listening to that one as I'm going to the Barracuda game on Tuesday with said family, but I'll be listening to it in the car ride home. And I'll have a recap for you guys and probably some CUDA talk as well, since I'll be at the game. But again, you follow me on Twitter at MyFryHole. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can listen, of course, wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, you name it. And then watch on YouTube as well. So if you want to support me, that's the kind of the best way to support is to subscribe, hit the little bell. That way you know whenever new episodes come out, and watch on YouTube. Easiest way to get money straight in my pocket. So anyway, until then, you guys have a great holidays. Be back on Tuesday. Bye, friends.